Dear students, my name is Nausheen Nizami, and in today's session I am back to explain and discuss how market demand for labor is determined. This topic is a part of Chapter 6, Theory of Marginal Productivity and Factor Pricing, and this discussion is a part of Advanced Microeconomics course. So let us try to understand how market demand for labor is determined. So unlike output markets, we do not obtain the market demand for labor by a simple horizontal summation of the demand curves of individual labor. And there's a reason behind it. The reason is that generally, as the price of input falls, so if the labor becomes cheaper, not only the firm whom we are examining, not only that firm will increase the quantity demanded for labor, but even all other firms who are employing labor would increase the demand for labor. Now, if the demand for labor increases, and that implies that more labor would now be used in the process of production, so the total output in the economy as a whole increases, not just the output of the firm in question. Now, whenever the total output in an economy increases compared to whatever is the demand, it leads to a fall in prices. And this fall in prices leads to a fall in the value addition done by the marginal product of labor. So, value addition done by the additional unit of labor hired, and that is why basically the demand for labor is not a horizontal summation of individual curves. Let us try to understand this entire process using the help of diagrams. So in the initial situation, we have plotted wage rate on y-axis and quantity of labor on x-axis. Here demand curve D1 is showing the demand curve of an individual firm for labor. Initially the wage rate which is given is W1, and at W1 wage rate L1 quantities of labor are being demanded. The firm is currently in this diagram at point A. Now summing up all the employing firms, one can obtain the demand curve for the input at the wage rate W1. If we do so, we will see on right hand side the diagram for market demand for labor at W1 wage rate. So capital A is indicating the market demand for labor at ongoing wage rate W1. Now suppose that the wage rate declines. What would happen? The immediate response of firms is to increase the demand for labor, and this should generally get reflected as a movement along the demand curve D1. So if wage rate is falling from W1 to W2, it should get reflected as a movement from A to B dash, which implies that at the reduced wage rate, the quantity demanded for labor should increase from L1 to L2 dash. But does that happen in reality? No, because in general there is not only one firm in the entire economy. There are many firms, and all firms want to benefit from the reduced price of labor. So all of them will simultaneously increase the demand for labor, hire more labor, and also increase the quantity of output being produced. Now you can understand this process in this diagram. So this is the diagram for output market, and at a constant demand curve we can see that supply is shifting from S1 to S2. This reflects that the total output in the market or in the economy has increased. Now because supply is increasing, there is a rightward shift in supply curve from S1 to S2. This is leading to a fall in the price level of output being produced from P1 to P2. This means that the overall price level of output has fallen. Now, because price of output is an important component of value of marginal product of labor, so if you now multiply this reduced price with MPL, you will see that VMPL will decline because price of output has declined. This is reflected by a leftward shift of VMPL curve, as you can see in this diagram, from VMPL1 to VMPL2. Now, in other words, you can say that VMPL curves in general shift downwards. The new demand curve is that's why not D1 but D2. So if we look on the diagram on the left hand side, because of a fall in VMPL, that is the value addition done by an extra unit of labor in total output, because of a fall in VMPL, the actual equilibrium occurs not at B dash but at B. So when the wage rate falls from W1 to W2, the firm is in equilibrium at B. Summing up horizontally for all the firms, we can obtain point capital B reflected here for the market demand curve. However, if this change in VMPL was not taken into account, it could have led to misleading conclusions. So if the fall of commodity price was not taken into account and its impact on VMPL was not taken into account, it would have led to overestimation of demand, and we would have a diagram for market demand curve which would have been more elastic. It would have started from A and we would have drawn it till B dash rather than current B, and that is why this would be misleading. In reality, the price of the commodity would be reduced, and that's why the market demand for labor will not be L-2, it would be L2. So basically, if I have to summarize this discussion, I would just say that in order to understand the market demand for labor, it is very important to check what is the change in the price of output, its impact on VMPL, value of marginal product of labor, and consequently its impact on the quantity demanded for labor. So this is how market demand for labor can be understood using diagrams, and we will be back to know more about how supply curve is determined in the theory of marginal productivity and factor pricing. But till then, all of you take care and have a great time ahead. Thank you.